a high-performance sales leader with over 25 years of experience in high-pressure environments. And today, he's an elite performance speaker and coach, and also an airborne ranger and Ironman triathlete. He's trusted by professionals and teams who want more than motivation. They want transformation. So are you ready for transformation?
Yes!
Then it's time for battle-tested military strategies to perform under pressure. Give your loudest battle cry for Sakti!
Right, thank you so much for the round of applause, and it's always an awesome pleasure to be here with all of y'all. Now, let's start this session with a question, shall we? Yes. Now, with a show of hands, how many of you agree that performing under pressure is difficult? Can you please show me? Excellent. Now, what if I told you that not only can you perform under pressure, but you can excel in it? That you can elevate your performance and use it as your strategic advantage. How many of you actually believe this? Oh, you all are super nice people. Because if you ask me, it's quite tough, right? Even sounds absurd. Because 15 years ago, I would have never believed this. My girl then was 5 years old, and I used to bring her to school. And one fine morning when I was bringing her to school, there was a makeshift bookstall, and she ran up to the bookstall, picked up a book, and looked at me and said, "Papa, can you buy me this book?" And I had to look at her and say, "No." Now, not because I didn't want to buy for her the book, but because the truth was I only had $7 in my pocket. That's all I had, nothing else in my bank. And I had to lie to a 5-year-old girl that it's not worth buying the book, girl. Just put it down. Now, that day, I felt like a loser, a failure. Not only have I failed as a father, but I failed as a man. I was not able to buy a book that cost $10 for my daughter, and furthermore, I had to lie to a 5-year-old girl. And when I went back home that day, I felt ashamed, shattered. In fact, I felt like a total failure. No, pressure was mounting on me for not being able to perform. And the worst part is, I was not even able to put food on the table for my family. You see, 8 months prior to that, I was in the military, stable career, a major, doing well. And then I decided to build my own business, aspire to make lots of money. So I came out, and now I was standing, not being able to afford to buy a book for $10. And that day, I think it was a time where it made me realize that perhaps, pressure is getting to me and this is not for me. Now, at that moment when I was sitting in the hall, thinking to myself, what is happening to my life? I suddenly came across this photo on the hall, and it was actually the photo of my father pinning the Airborne Ranger tab on my graduation a couple of years back. And something hit me. Hey, Sakti, you have been in places, in situations where, there were pressure, there were environments where you had to go through so much challenges as an Airborne Ranger. And you excel and thrive under pressure. What is happening to you now? And that's when a voice came up to my head. Sakti, pressure is not your enemy. It's your mental edge. When you define your mission, design your mindset, and perform with mastery. Because that was what drilled into me in the military. So at that moment, I realized, what if I can take the whole template that I had in the military to my business world today? Will it change? Maybe, maybe not. But I won't know until I try. So there was a glimpse of hope at that point of time. And I started seeing pressure in a different perspective. And that day, I built on that particular framework, which today I call it as the Triple M framework, where I'm standing here today, proud to tell you that I can buy a lot of books for my girl today. Much, much more. So I'm going to share with you 3 elite mental strategies that you can use when you are under pressure. Are you ready? Yes. All right, let's move on. Now, first of all, I want you all to remember mission, mindset, mastery. 3 simple words. All right, it all starts from mission. Now, if you think about it, at that moment of time, what I knew was I was working hard. I was doing as much as I can, what I need to do, but I was not getting the results. And I was feeling burnout. Why? Because I did not know why I was doing what I was doing. So every time I hit a roadblock, every time I had challenges, I just felt, why? Why, God? The world is not being fair to me. Because I did not have a clear purpose. Now, it's just like recently, I actually met up with this senior executive, very successful on paper, high flyer, extremely doing well. And then he came to my coaching session telling me, Sakti, every day when I go to work, people see me as a successful person, but I feel that I'm on a treadmill. Running hard, running fast, perspiring, sweating, exhausted, but I don't feel I'm going anywhere. I'm still in the same place. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is a silent epidemic that a lot of professionals are going through. Not being able to know clearly where their direction is, where they are going. So, mindset, mission, it's about being clear of your purpose. Purpose-driven mission. It's not about the small little goals that you have, but it's the mission, the ultimate mission of where you are heading towards. So let me just share a simple framework that was helpful for me on that time when I was really down, was a reframing technique. Or wrong, it's anchor and align. Now, when I say anchor align, it's about wake up in the morning, spend about 5 minutes to ask yourself, now what am I going to do today to make an impact in my work? And once you have listed that down, the next question is, how is this impact aligned to my mission? Now, the moment you do that, you realize that no matter what challenges you go, whatever pressure you get, you know that you are doing it because you are very clear of your why. Now, another example I can give you is when I was waking up every morning. In fact, I still do at 4 a.m. in the morning. In fact, a few days ago, Michelle, a friend of mine, called me and said, what time will you be waking up? I said, 3 a.m. He said, hey, what do you do at 3 a.m.? I say, I wake up and I do my training for my Ironman preparation. Now, is it because I'm a superhuman? No. If given a choice, I would be sleeping longer, comfortably. But it's because I'm clear of my mission. When I wake up, when I go and train, I'll do well in my Ironman, and I can use that experience to talk to a lot of people in my coaching and in my speeches. So my mission was clear. So ladies and gentlemen, take some time to really sit down and think about what is your mission, your purpose-driven mission. And when you are clear about that, pressure will not be able to break you, but it becomes your fuel. Now, the reality is this. Now that we talked about mission, let's go into mindset. You are clear of your mission. Clarity is there. You have a compass. But does that mean pressure disappears? No, pressure is going to be there. It is going to be there. So, when you talk about mission, it's about how do you see pressure? How do you reframe your mind from seeing pressure as a disabler and make it into an enabler, a fuel for you? Now, another example I would like to share with you is when I was going for my airborne ranger selection, and everybody told me, Sakti, I don't think you can make it. It's damn tough, Crazy people only go. And then you are going, are you crazy? I think, why should you be doing that? And at that point of time, my mindset was not that it's tough. My mindset was, if I can do it, then I'm cool, man. So it's about me doing something that many people could not do. I'm good if I'm able to do it. So my mindset of doing it to make myself unique, special, and awesome. Not that it's going to be tough. So it's about reframing our mindset. So let me just share with you a simple mindset technique, which is called the reframing technique. Now, it's okay. Now, what just happened is an indication that you're going to get an awesome framework now. So let's give a round of applause. All right, so reframing technique. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Okay, it's part of the speech to make you all, be ready and, to write it down. Now, reframing is about whenever you go through a certain challenge, or in fact, think of a challenge that you're going through right now or the past few days, something that just makes you feel that you just can't take the step forward. Now, look at it and think about it and ask yourself, instead of seeing it as a pressure, instead of seeing it as a challenge, how can that grow you? How can that make you a better person in terms of what you're doing? Now, another example was when I went for my airborne jump. Every time we jump out the plane, are we scared? Oh yes, we are scared. Some of you say no. I say no, I am very scared. But we don't tell before jumping, I'm scared, God bless me. But what we say is Rangers lead the way and jump. Why? Because we are clear. Things can go wrong, but I'm prepared. I'm prepared to face and I'm prepared to do the necessary to keep moving forward. So reframe your mindset. Reframe what you see or tell yourself about pressure. Now, third is mastery. Now, mastery is about doing what you are supposed to do best at the right moment. I can practice my speech all I want, but when I come up on the stage and if I'm not able to speak, then something's wrong. And mastery or your performance always happens not right at the heat of the crisis, but way before that. Now, when I first decided to become an Ironman, I was told that you are supposed to swim 3.8 kilometers in the open water. You're supposed to cycle 180 kilometers immediately after the swim. And then you have to run a 42 km full marathon. And once you come to the end point, you will be said, you are Ironman. And all this within 17 hours. So my first point is, what? 17 hours, all these things, how am I going to do? So is there going to be a break in between? He said, no. And at that point of time, it was overwhelming. I was thinking, how am I going to do it? And that's when I learned this technique. A seasoned triathlete came and told me, hey, young man, he was like 65 and he was still doing Ironman. He told me, young man, you don't win the race or you don't finish the race and celebrate because of the race, but because of the months of preparation that you did, the small little things you did, the small little preparations, the micro habits you inculcated. And that was when I realized that the Make It Better rule, where you just get better 1% every single day. List out things you want to do and tell yourself, I just got to be 1% better. In my case, 1 lap more. In my case, 1 kilometer more, slightly faster. Perhaps another 5 kilometers of cycling, a bit faster. Small little things, and it will accumulate and it will give you this thing called a compounding consistency effect. So do it better rule, 1% every day. Now that we have talked about defining your mission, designing your mindset, and of course, performing your mastery, these 3 things. Thank you, Jasmine. What's more important that we need to see how we see pressure. So once again, I'll tell you, whenever you see pressure, look at it and tell yourself that pressure isn't my enemy, but it's my mental age. When I define my mission, design my mindset, and of course, perform with mastery. So now, of course, what we have done so far is just scratched the surface level of the Triple M strategy. So for those of you who want to know more, you can have this QR code where I'll actually send you the checklist for you to see where you stand now. And then from there, I'm even open to have a complimentary coaching session with you to see how I can help, or if let's say we can work together. So feel free, take some time to fill this up. With that, all I got to say is, let's come together, build our mental edge together, and make it happen for ourselves. Thank you.